Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. I want to talk today about what happened with AWS and how it's down and how it is extremely centralized. And it's important for people to understand why that's actually important, because a lot of people they take advantage in the business world for what cloud infrastructure is and how vital it is. And when it goes down, it affects a lot of companies. I mean, you're seeing this morning, companies like CoinMarketCap had the website up. So you'd think there's not an outage, but you'd go to specific projects and the price wouldn't be there. That was the only thing that was missing. The price was missing. And it was because of the AWS outage. Now, first off, AWS they'll tell you decentralized. It's not. There are a handful of colos out there in the world, and that's how they say it's decentralized, because it's not just one, building with a bunch of mainframes in there. But it can have drastic effects on companies, whereas there were companies this morning, their entire website was offline, all right? Now, I want to share with you a couple things, because there are people out there that talk about me shilling coins all the time and how I'm out there shilling coins. They call them a bad word. I call them crap coins, but hey, I'm not the best with my language either. But I want to explain something. And first off, I got to tell you, I'm in Tennessee and I love it. It is absolutely beautiful. So shout out to everyone in Tennessee. Type Tennessee down below if you're from there. And I'm already seeing people that are last night taking photos while I'm eating. And trust me, nobody wants to see that, okay? It's not pretty, okay? So just say hi if you recognize me. You don't have to film while I'm eating. Okay, it's awkward. All right, so Amazon Web Services, down. Some companies down for the count. There's a lot of lost revenue just from that. AWS is centralized. And there are people that talk about shilling coins and all that kind of stuff. And what it is they're maxis. They don't understand what the difference between a crap coin, and let me explain this. First off, a coin in crypto or blockchain technology is a currency, like Bitcoin, Litecoin. When you see something other than a coin, you have a token, then you have a meme coin, and you have NFTs. They're totally different use cases, right? Now, every single one I've ever talked about has a use case, and it's not just the value goes up of the underlying asset or token or coin. As a matter of fact, a lot of these projects tend to get in trouble because they sit there and they crap post about other exchanges, centralized exchanges. I'm going to talk about one specific centralized exchange. It's about to go bye-bye. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not how you think. And it's based off of all this decentralization talk and a desire from the public to go decentralized. So I'll give you an example of one project that I want to help out, and I'm one of the largest holders on earth, and I'm not saying that bragging, I'm just setting up a baseline of understanding here. It's down 80% from when I bought it. And I highly suggest you don't race out and buy it right now, because there's issues with it. I'm gonna talk about those issues. Even though I own a ton of it, I'm telling you not to. First off, it's Edge Networks, okay? Edge Networks, don't put it in the same category as the Edge token from Definitive, okay? It is a decentralized platform for creating a cloud infrastructure so that people can turn around and make money from it. I'll give you an example why. The problem they see is that Amazon Web Services is way too centralized and other cloud infrastructures are. So what they did is they set up this blockchain tech that ties computer systems together and internet lines together to be able to store data fully decentralized. And how they did that is they created a token and a piece of hardware that people would hook up at their house, and the internet line would go in, then the internet line would go out and go to the Wi-Fi system, so before the router or after the router. And what happens is all of the bandwidth that you're not using throughout the day, they'll pay you for, and they pay you in their native token, not a coin. This is, I've got to educate even people that create blockchain networks, because they don't even know this. They don't own any stock. They're usually broke, and you think they know everything, but they don't, all right? So that company is building this infrastructure. Well, here are their problems. They're being held back by the EU. The EU is tyrannical. Like, type yes or no if you agree with that. Straight up tyrannical. Even so much so that before I make a video on YouTube, I have to actually answer a question. Is there an EU political ad in this? Yes or no? I have to actually click that. That's how tyrannical they're getting, right? Okay, so, and they're not talking about just ads. They're talking about me talking about it. So just me talking about it, you may not see a lot of views on this. So they need to move out of that because they're getting pigeonholed by regulation. they need to come here. And I have a company that's trying to figure out a way of getting them over here because it's an incredible play. So that things like this with Amazon doesn't happen again, right? Now, the centralized exchange I'm talking about, there are centralized exchanges that are building decentralized networks right now, layer 2s on Ethereum, that are going to be insane. One of them is Coinbase has put a ton of money into decentralized exchanges like Edge token that I've talked about, the Definitive project. And the reason why they're doing this is because they understand that people do not want a centralized exchange. They want decentralized. They want to have their own hardware wallet, a cold wallet, or whichever way you want. If you want a hot wallet, you're more than likely going to lose your money. You guys know I teach about that. Oh, real quick, I'll throw a shout out. Link down below to the Bitcoin XRP or all crypto 101 basic course. Teaches you how to set up wallets, exchanges, buy, sell, store, move, all that stuff. And the crypto security course. I highly suggest, I don't care how long you've been in crypto, guarantee you're going to learn something and go, oh my gosh, how was I this vulnerable to attacks, hacks, and all that stuff? So links down below to that before the price goes up. Coinbase knows that their users want to be able to attach their own wallet device to an exchange and interface with that exchange only to make the transfer from one token or coin to another, and it stays on their device. So what Coinbase is doing is essentially putting themselves out of business without putting themselves out of business. Coinbase will become even bigger because they're putting out the base protocol and they're pushing so much money into that, knowing that truthfully, all coins should be decentralized in the way they get listed. And there are problems with certain other projects that cannot get listed because the people running the project are out there crap posting about all these centralized exchanges where I've already figured out a way to list them on every single exchange, and they can't get out of their own way, screaming decentralization. That's where the world is going, is decentralization, right? And so I use Coinbase's centralized exchange because I'm an actual investor. Most people in the crypto space that create projects, they don't actually have a lot of money. You have no idea what the truth is. Most of them don't even own their own projects because they sold them off at the tops. And I'm sure you can probably put some comments of which projects you know or you've heard about down below. And these are true because I know a lot of these creators myself personally, and I know their struggles. I'm like, here, I got a solution for you, but they can't get past this. No, everything's got to be decentralized. And you're like, yeah, copy. That's not how the world works. So you got to work inside of the world. It's like God says you need to be in the world, but not of it. You make your money and you go start some awesome projects over here. But again, people can't get out of their own way. So you're going to see a day where Coinbase doesn't exist in the way you think it is. It's going to exist and make its money off of decentralized exchanges because of the way that people want to onboard and offboard their projects, their tokens, how they want to trade. They want to trade in their decentralized realm. And you're going to see projects that Coinbase puts out, exchanges, where everything is allowed to be listed. It doesn't matter. You're not going to have to go pay these crazy engineering costs. I've talked to some projects that are like, we don't care who you are. We're gonna charge the ninja $250,000, just like we're gonna charge them. And actually, one company sat out. I wanted this super decentralized project that I was really behind, but I can't be behind it anymore. It's just, I can't believe the level of just idiocracy at 3 a.m. when people just go off crap posting about other people and projects. But my point being is, they sat there and they said, dude, for you, Ninja will charge $100,000. And I said, well, this project's so decentralized, it has no money. And they go, $100,000 is the best we could do because they're paying their employees to engineer it and put it on the exchange, and then they need a liquidity pool, so they need a market maker involved, and these exchanges can't do it. So you're going to see Coinbase putting out, like Definitive, these amazing projects that anyone can list on. I hope you got something out of this. If you are new to crypto, I'm going to tell you this. I do not talk about projects that I am not one of the largest holders in because of my integrity. I've never been paid by a crypto project ever, and I never will be. I show people projects that don't just go up or down in value. That's all people care about. Hey, I want the token to go up. Like, that's not how it works. I show you projects where you can actually put it to work and make money, whether from a crazy yield, a discount, or something like that. So if you're here for real knowledge, stick around and I'm going to share some crazy things over the next 3 months. Because the market is going to do something that nobody's talking about. And that's going to pump, and then it's going to dump. And you better be ready and watch these videos when I start saying, hey, I'm moving to cash. That's a very important thing. I'm not moving to cash right now. I'm still holding everything I've talked about except for 3 projects that I refuse to tell online. I only tell to my students because And that's not like bait to get you in, because that project's already closed, that DeFi project. And it's never opening again. But my point being is that it's because the channel is so big, the last thing we need is for the project to dump in price because I say, oh yeah, I sold mine. That's not gonna happen, ever. Everyone here is an adult. When they buy something, it goes up. If you don't take profits, like I say every time, when things go up exponentially, take some off the table. If you FOMO in, then you FOMO'd in. If you buy on a coin that goes up more than 10% in a day, well, then you're nuts. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never done that. Well, no, actually I have. I did do that and I lost. And actually I did it recently. I'm not even gonna talk about that one. I've never talked about it on the channel either. Anyway, my point being is the economic ninja is out.